You ever notice how money makes people squirm? Not having it, not spending it, but just talking about it. You ask someone how much they make, and suddenly the vibe changes, as if you've crossed the line, an invisible line. Even when it's someone close to you, like family and friends. And then we respect the line because we don't want to be in this awkward state. And I've always found that so incredibly fascinating because money touches everything from day-to-day survival to attaching it to your self-worth. So why does something so universal feel so untouchable? As if you can't even mention it. That's kind of what I want to talk about today in this episode, because this awkwardness, this discomfort, it's not just by chance. It's not a personality thing. It's historical. It's cultural. And dare I say it, it's inherited. And quite frankly, it really serves certain people more than it does others. Let's start with the present moment, right now. Money talk is uncomfortable. I see this when I'm working with clients or talking to a fellow entrepreneur or even creatives like you who are literally trying to make a living from their work. We post our prices, but we don't say what we actually earned last month. And when we do, there's a huge backlash for making it seem as if one is showing off. We celebrate big wins, but majority keep quiet about the dry seasons. And most of us, let's face it, we grew up in families where talking about money, it either raised an eyebrow, can I raise one, or just complete silence. Where money was used as a threat. I've always been curious about money. And of course, I've wondered, where did all of this come from? Why be so weird around money? Now, I confess, I'm not an angel, I'm not innocent. I'm also part of the problem. But more on that in another episode. So, do you know what bartering is? I remember learning about it when I was a wee kid. How ancient people just swapped chickens for grain or wool for salt. And then coins were invented to make it easier. Well, that's a myth. Anthropologist David Graeber wrote about this in this book, which I absolutely love, called Debt, The First 5,000 Years. Brilliant, brilliant book. He says early economies weren't based on barter, but on credit. It was based on obligation and social trust. So someone in your village would lend you something and you'd owe them. Not immediately, and definitely not with interest at this stage. But as part of the social construct, it wasn't transactional, which is what we think it would be. Like I give this to you and then you'll owe me. It was actually relational. And that distinction is really important because when we say transactional, we're talking about precise, impersonal exchanges. Like when you buy something from a shop, you go, you choose something, you pay, you receive the thing, and you're done. Job done. There's no relationship needed. Just the right amount of money and you're good. But relational means something very different. It means the economy was built on human connection. If your neighbor lent you your grain, they weren't hovering over you for repayment the next day. They trusted that when they needed help, you'd show up. Maybe not with grain, but maybe with firewood or help in the fields. Whatever was needed at that time. It wasn't about debt in the financial sense. It was more about reciprocity, about keeping the relationship strong. Before it was ever coins or numbers, was a tool for trust, not just trade. It was incredibly emotional. It carried emotion because so much connection and trust was needed. But as societies grew, these relational debts turned into formal ones. So in Mesopotamia, in ancient Greece, debt wasn't just a personal thing. It shaped social order. And if you couldn't pay it back, you could be publicly shamed. You could be enslaved. Your children could be taken away from you. So this fear we feel now around being in debt, it's ancient. It was literally used as a tool to control people. And every now and then, rulers would call for a debt jubilee, a societal-wide cancellation of debts to reset the economy and relieve the collective anxiety. Can you imagine that now? A full wipe, a fresh start, not as a personal failure, but as a communal necessity. Now let's fast forward to Western Europe. This is where silence around money became a class marker. The upper class didn't need to talk about money because, let's face it, they had it. And not talking about money became a way to distinguish oneself. It showed elegance, status, and restraint. It was considered crude to discuss money openly. Talking about earnings or negotiating too hard, it was seen as low class, and it is still done today. Think about the discomfort that you feel when your mum or someone is negotiating with someone. I have this. My mum negotiates quite a lot, and it's like, come on, just pay the price. It's fine. We feel the sense of shame because of this. It was seen as low class. It's why someone might feel shame around asking to be paid, for chasing the invoice, gosh, for even creating the invoice in the first place. They've been socialized to believe that being too money-minded makes them less good. But this isn't just a Western thing. In some cultures, money silence is about preserving face, your reputation, not exposing someone's struggles. In others, it's about protecting resources, because if people know what you have, they may demand a share. In some of the communities I've worked with, this silence shows up not just as avoidance, but as a deep anxiety. As children, we internalize the tone of our parents. I mean, gosh, I did. I'm sure you did as well. You know, the voices when they talked about bills, even if they never said the word debt, we felt it. And boy, I worry about my son. We talk about money really openly. When we have it, when we don't, when we have trouble, when someone doesn't pay, all of that. And I just wonder, how is this shaping him? Because I know how money talk shaped me. So who benefits from the silence? This is the big point. When we don't talk about money, the people who benefit most are usually the ones who already have it. Silence protects wealth. It protects systems. It makes inequality feel like a personal failing, not a structural one. I see this all the time. Talented, smart creatives hesitating to raise their prices, feeling guilty for wanting more, afraid of seeming greedy for valuing their work. But that discomfort, it didn't come out of nowhere. It was designed for centuries. Money has been wrapped in secrecy on purpose, because if we're too uncomfortable to talk about it, we're less likely to question it, less likely to compare notes, which is literally one of the things most creators want to know. How much do others charge? This makes us less likely to push back. That's how power protects itself, through silence. So, if talking about money makes you feel awkward or exposed, that's not a personal flaw. That's conditioning. But you can start to break it. You can ask different questions. You can talk openly with peers about rates, your value, and what's fair. You can name what's really going on without shame, because the truth is, money isn't just about math. It is about meaning. And when we stay silent, we let other people define that meaning for us. Talking about money is not greedy. It's not tacky. It's not rude. It's literally necessary. If we want something to change, we need to stop holding back. And this is how we change the status quo. You've been listening to Ivy Malik, and I help creatives scale past 6 figures. Pricing, money, and sales, that's my jam. Because selling isn't just about transactions to get that next high-paying client. It's actually how we get people to believe in our mission. Whether it's hiring a new team, we're selling in right there. Whether it's investment funding, or building that wonderful community. Ultimately, we're always selling. It's the foundation of the business. Keep listening and keep tuning in for our next episode. And if you've got questions, don't hesitate to get in touch in the DMs.